This is Dealer with the Crazy Picker Life.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Yeah. Who are you?
Wheeler.
Oh, next to me is Wheeler. This is the Crazy Picker Life, episode 4. And taking us into the video today was a typical Monday package load. When we are out of the office on Sunday, we have, I don't know, it's like 36 hours of orders or something like that. So Monday morning, I typically either come in after midnight or I come in real early and pack orders, and there's usually a bunch of them. And if we're here on Saturday, I get a bunch of them done on Saturday before we go home on Saturday. And so we have a bunch of them done already. If we're gone for 2 or 3 days, we've had order days where it can be 60 or more, 70 or more,
Yeah.
80 or more orders.
Oh, definitely.
And sometimes I've had to pack like 8 or 10 hours in a row, and it's just, oh, that's grueling. So anyway, that's a typical order day. Super van, loading up the super van. We haven't seen quite how that video is going to come out and what kind of music, what kind of snappy music I'm going to play with it.
Super hip, super dubstep. We can hire Skrillex and they'll do the...
We do not endorse Skrillex. Anyway, we haven't seen it yet, but that'll be the intro.
Yep.
And of course, you've already seen it. Okay, we're both a little loopy and long week, and I told Wheeler we're not going to admit it, but I am definitely way under the weather. We've had a kind of a cold snap out here. It's warm out here, a lot of dust blowing. Everybody in my house is kind of sick and nasally and coughs and stirred something up. So I'm definitely under the weather. I'm going to try to hold it together. And Wheeler told me that this is his normal mood, but this is your Ricky Bobby mood, right?
Ready to snap at any time. Hard
Ready to
school week,
snap.
2 weeks in a row now.
Hard school week. Ready to snap that camera in half if the contrast goes off again. Now you may.
It's a little bit weird because of the lights off too.
You have a weird dot above your head.
That's recording.
Oh, I wondered what that was.
It's
So we wore matching sweatshirts. If these don't look matching, it's because the camera's off.
Yeah, I know, the camera's having all kinds of issues.
Yeah, we're gonna get a new camera because we're camera guys.
Yep.
This is embarrassing.
We got a Canon G7X or something. The price that's like $800, so it's something good.
You know what I realized again today, and then we're gonna go on with the show here.
Yep.
By the way, we are a picking team. We buy and sell things mostly on eBay, cameras, and a lot more. This show is about the adventures of the father and son picking team.
Yep.
And you never know what you're going to get. Anyway, where was it going?
I don't know. You never know where you're going to get. The camera sucks.
Let's see. We're a camera place. It's embarrassing. Wow, I lost it. Somehow I picked up our intro. Okay, so this is episode 4. It is March 5th on Saturday when we're recording this. We've got a bunch of topics for today. I'll list out a couple. We're going to do a Wheeler office tour.
Yep.
Now, we were in there the other week, a few weeks ago, and looked a little bit at your processing of backstock totes.
Yep.
And we're gonna go a little bigger on that and just give the quick office tour. I'm going to talk a little bit about always be closing. And at the end, tune in at the end. There's going to be some more bumper music.
Ooh.
We did get our new beer sign so that we're no longer in the dark on the way out. So you'll get a chance to see that.
Yep.
Why do we do this business? I put that down. I don't know if we'll get to that. And we had some questions about Amazon FBA, questions about feedback, and asking for feedback. And then, what are our accounts? Let's get that out of the way right away. We list on 5 or 6 accounts for different reasons. Our 2 primary accounts for cameras is...
I don't know, that Canon guy?
Can you spell it out so they can see it?
2 different primary accounts? Or what did you say? Wasn't really listening. Just letting you talk.
Oh my goodness.
Good out there tonight.
My partner's asleep at the wheel.
Told you, hard school week.
That THAT_.
CANON_guy. GUI.
When two people give it, nobody gets anything out of it.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to give the Canon since he's
I was giving it because you were
Okay.
asleep at the wheel.
Okay, well I thought you paused after Canon. That.
So I will try to put it in the description. We had somebody ask, "What are your accounts?" I want to look at your beer signs. What are your accounts? I want to look at your
Yep.
cameras. That Canon Canon Guy with underscore signs between that Canon and Guy. Our other ID is NW for Northwest, NW underscore symbol Kansas, just like it sounds, Kansas.
Queensland.
Okay, so let's get right on with this. I did not start the start-stop, but I'm going to. So we will talk about. Well, let's talk a little bit about your standing desk. Now, you talked. You were in your office. We're going to show that here. In fact, let's just show that.
Hey there, Wheeler here, and I guess I'm just going to show you around my office a little bit, explain about my setup. So I guess we're going to start right over here with my little display cabinet. It's a little bit empty right now because I have most of the stuff over there for some sort of crazy solve. But one thing you don't know about me, I'm really into like Rubik's Cubes and twisty puzzles and all that stuff. So I have a display of those there along with the Canon T series of cameras, which I've been collecting for a little while. The storage cabinet down there. I have some posters on the wall on this side. And then I guess going over here, I have like my little piano thingy, which I don't really play much, but I guess I have it here anyway. Got some vinegar and stuff for dealing with corrosion. Right in this corner, I have another display and my Rubik's Cube tower. This is pretty much just where I store my Rubik's Cubes. Then as we go over here, I guess I have like all the lens caps and stuff I stick on cameras and whatever if I have it. My first main toolbox, which this one is just full of all the little bit greasier and crazier stuff that I use to test cameras and work on stuff a little bit. And going over here, this is the main chute where I would have all the items, pull it out of the tote, put it on the table, and then from here it goes into testing and then to imaging. And there's another display on the back wall here with a corner display there. So it's there, a little bit under table storage, a big camera bag stacked down there, which is just kind of like whatever. Green screen over on this wall for playing around with a little bit. And here's my stuff that's ready for pictures or has had pictures taken of it, depending on stuff comes over here, I take pictures of it, I put it back there, and that's ready for listing. And there's my photo studio lighting setup thing up there, which is turn that on, wait for it to warm up a little bit. I take my camera and take pictures of stuff. Then it comes to this computer here, which is my main computer for listing. You can see it has that lizard shot on there. It's one of these super wide 34-inch super monitors. And like I said, I have like speakers, keyboard, mouse, all the standard computer stuff. I have this for like zooming in on slides in case we need to do that. I have some more tools here, a little tool thingy there, and of course my second toolbox here, which are the kind of less greasy tools for testing cameras and stuff. And down under here I have all my camera equipment and bags and stuff just for putting stuff in and testing stuff out again. It's my second computer here, which is actually down there, that's the TV up there. It's what I want to use for video editing and all that kind of stuff. It's not super reliable, so that's sometimes not working like it is right now. And I have the items I listed today, which are right there, and that's the table that goes on. And I guess that's about it for just the general overview here. So I guess I was going to talk about the ergonomics of a standing desk, which I've actually had for how long now, do you think? Like 2 months, 3 months? Put this in here?
Oh, at least 6 months.
That long?
Yeah.
Man, okay, that's unbelievable. But anyway, I guess I have a standing desk here, which is just kind of a work table. I didn't actually buy one of those dedicated super standing desks. And I found the advantage of this to be compared to like a sitting desk. Sitting desk, I was always having issues with just kind of like, I don't know, gelatinizing during listing and just kind of slugging out for a while. Which is like super cool speak, you know? But anyway, this thing seemed to mostly fix that because you're standing all the time, you get more blood flow and seemed to really do that. And also I found some benefits like legs and stuff, you know, you seem to exercise those a little bit just standing all day. So I've actually had really good luck with that. Seems to be a good solution. A lot of people have like the sitting/standing desks which go up and down, but this one so far seems to be working pretty well. So I guess that's about it. Do you think there's anything else you need to add to that, or does that sound pretty conclusive?
Well, this is your flow. This is the flow office. This is
Yeah.
where all the camera stuff
The
happens.
unrehearsed my flow office thingy, so yeah. Nope. And also, I guess if you're wondering how my computer and stuff here, I have like a little Chrome box thing back there. It's very streamlined. It doesn't have any like extra apps or anything. It's pretty much internet only, and then you just process stuff through, so it's really efficient. So that's about it, I guess.
Now, Wheeler, you change things around how often?
I've had this set up here for a while. Like I built that computer apparently 4 years ago or something. It's been a while. So I don't know.
Well, this workflow is pretty good, and it took some years to kind of get it sorted out.
Yeah.
I think it's
I have extra lenses down here and stuff for
Pretty
when I need certain shots, so it just kind of
pretty streamlined.
works out pretty well. I take my pictures, you know, I edit them, I stick them in my card reader here, it goes right up on there, and then I can...
Some lighting
work it
effects
through.
going on here.
Yeah, turn down the lights there. I have the LED lighting strips that I installed all the way through there. A little remote down there. So I usually have more cubes. I have like 150 random cubes and stuff, so
Cube Man.
one's not fully there. So anyway, I guess that's about it. Back to the show, right?
Back to the show. Okay, so your standing desk, for a while there, two things were happening in your office. And I was thinking today more and more about the differences between our working style. You are definitely more analytical,
Yep.
and I'm definitely more big picture.
Yep.
I can do analytical stuff, but I get so bored and crazy that if I do it for too long, I go Ricky Bobby.
Yep.
You get in a groove in your analytical stuff, and sometimes you go so deep in your groove you can't get out.
Mm-hmm.
So, in other words, your big picture, including things like time, eating, I don't know, bathroom breaks.
Yeah.
Why I would say that, I don't know. But, I mean, you just kind of disappear into it.
Yep.
Okay? You're like in a tunnel vision. And so, you know, I've been watching you work, and I've obviously worked with people for a long time, different types of partners and people and employees and coworkers and family members. And you're new to the scene of doing homework and business and, you know, different types of computer work. So I kind of watched you disappear into your office about 10 times in a row.
Yep.
And one of the things that would happen is you would start to get into your work so much that your work office would just overflow with stuff.
Oh yeah, totally forgot about that whole aspect of it.
Well, you'd be sitting there and you'd be surrounded by your tools, you'd be surrounded by your food, you'd be surrounded by your cameras,
Yep.
you'd be surrounded by whatever else you got going on.
Walk in my office, you're like, hey, is this a new episode of Hoarders, or is this
Right.
Wheeler's office?
Right, but that seemed to clutter your whole process too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Slug.
And because you got that analytical brain where you get into it, it's almost like you don't notice some of it.
Oh yeah, I start working around it. I start just kind of dealing with it without even noticing how bad it's got. Yeah.
And you grind to a halt.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, my background is actually industrial engineering, which industrial engineering is more process oriented,
Yeah.
people oriented, throughput, facilities design, all that kind of stuff. And some of that's still in here. I tried to burn out all that schooling with some Schlitz and some other beers. And so between both of us here, and there's nothing wrong with your style, and there's nothing wrong with me recognizing it and helping you, but we work together to get a real streamlined flow. We limit the stuff in, we limit the stuff out. You're happier.
Yep.
Stuff happens. You've actually had more time, I think, for breaks and for fun stuff and for projects because you don't feel like you're all buried in there.
Yeah.
And you can get out. Now, the standing desk was part of that.
Yeah. No, definitely.
You've got a seat in your office. We've got seats and things around our office where you can, you know, sit down and scrub stuff or relax or play a video game or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The standing desk, though, allows you to kind of remain more mobile, and I think it helps you be more active rather than go into that tunnel.
Yeah, another thing I did, I used to sit in the same chair for like 4 hours straight and do, like, not get up at all. Standing desk, though, man, I was walking around, sometimes kind of aimlessly, which is kind of funny side effect there, but... Yeah,
Well,
I'm kind of,
and this
helps you
is
stay.
this is way off,
Oh.
but I have had the honor and the horror of working not only with my parents, real closely with my mother for 10, 12 years, and my father less closely, but enough, and to work with my kids on a separate occasion. So I've put in a lot of time with family, and then people say never work with family. I say no, family's great. Wherever you work, there's going to be different personalities and things like that. You and I are very contrasting
Yeah.
and complementary, and it's a good thing. But we both have to, understand that
Yeah.
because we can drive each other nuts.
Yep.
And I was a lot more like my mom, and for the most part, we were able to see eye to eye and get along that way. And a lot of it was I was green, and she put up with a lot of my growing up and helped mentor me. My dad was a lot more complimentary and a lot more out there sometimes.
Brain. Yeah.
Well, and again, the guy was, and he's passed away, and so has my mom. He was super intelligent in a lot of focused ways.
Yeah.
And you're a different person. You've got some real high qualities too. One of them is not big picture.
Yeah.
And I don't say that in a bad way. My dad had like 15 patents.
Yeah.
I mean, but he did the same thing. He just would disappear in there, and he wouldn't come home for supper. He would go downstairs in our house tinkering with stuff, and he'd come up the next morning looking like he was half dead. I mean, I didn't understand it at the time.
Yeah. Well, I can
No.
see myself doing that.
Well,
too.
I know, I'm living with it again.
Yeah.
That's the deja
Because
vu.
when I'm doing something, I'm not gonna finish until it's complete. I have this one mind is in a lot of stuff. Like I'm gonna land this totally unrelated topic, but scooter and skateboard tricks. When I'm trying to learn a new trick, I'm not gonna stop until I've landed it perfectly in every way. Friends, totally.
Deja vu for me.
Yeah.
So,
Funny.
early on we made some videos, and it was funny because Wheeler was, 9, 10, 11 years old, talking about cameras and stuff nonstop, and people were just enamored by that. And then mean dad here comes along and goes, "Come on, hurry up!" But the thing is, he got in his element, and it was
Yeah.
like we had agreed on.
I can talk about cameras all day. We
Uh.
go to some of these camera places, and man, it's just crazy. I meet other people that can talk about cameras all day, and then we just talk and talk and talk.
Well, the backstory was we had drove 3-4 hours to get home. It was 2 in the morning. We had pulled this stuff out, and Wheeler had talked me out into putting the stuff out and looking at it. And then you talked me into, well, let's just film it.
Yeah.
And I said, well, okay, if we keep it to a half an hour. And then he started going, and I look at my watch, and we're at 35 minutes, and we're still on the first batch, and I'm getting grumbly, and he just was in his element.
Yeah.
And you slept on the way home, So anyway, this is a glimpse inside, if you take on a partner, what you might find. Now, I think we get along really well.
Yeah. No, all in all.
And so anyway, couldn't do without you.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is your office. Always be closing. Now, there was a movie in 1992, I looked it up today. It's a sales movie. Oh, no, everybody will know the one I'm talking about. It's with Baldwin, Alec Baldwin or whatever. He's a super sales guru, and he gets called down to these real estate sales guys that are struggling, and they're kind of a motley crew, and he comes in and he just delivers this rile 'em up speech, and it's it's laced with profanity, and it's in your face, and I mean he's calling these guys names, but one of the things, I mean, everything he had to say was needed for these guys, because even though they were sleazy and selling a crappy product and all that kind of stuff, I mean, if they wanted to make it, they needed to wake up. They were all in there going, "Oh, I can't sell anything. These leads suck," And
Yeah.
so what he came up with, and is relevant to us, is he said, always be closing. And that is a sales technique that if you are a salesperson, you must do.
Yeah, I was confused when I saw it on there. I was like, always be closing. Wait, should always be closed? You can't sell anything?
No,
yeah,
I'm
but
gonna,
now I get what he's saying.
no,
here.
no, I'm going to relate it even more.
Houses.
I'm going to even relate it more to what we're talking about
Yeah.
here. But I mean, there's in sales, and I had I don't know. I've been in sales, let's just say, and so I studied it, and I can appreciate it, and there's there's the test close, and there's a Abraham Lincoln close, and there's the pros and cons close, and there's the takeaway. I mean, there's all these things, but you always need to be closing. Now, in our business, if you want to make it part-time, full-time, whatever, there is one activity you absolutely must do, and it sums up our business. Always be listing.
Yep.
Always be listing. And I think you should do this if you're struggling with listing. You should put up a sign on your mirror in your bathroom. You should put it up over your computer. You should put it up over the inventory you hate. Always be listing.
Yep.
And I did that in a sense early on. I was selling air purifiers, and I had a whole room full of them, and I was tired and I was beat, and I had to get myself, it got so boring because I was doing the same items over and over and over, and I had to test each one, and I had to clean them up, and some of them smelled like smoke, and I had a lot of wah going on, and I wasn't real toughened up at that time. And so I had to put a sign up because I wanted to feed my family.
Yeah.
Always be listing. And I forced myself to list 3 of these things a day. And, they sold for $300 to $500. So if you're listing 3 things for $300 to $500 a day, you're doing pretty good. Sooner or later, if those are sellable items, that's going to do good. And of course, I had a few months that I sold, $30,000 or $30,000 or something of those things. But anyway, boy, I'm feeling great. Always be listing. And that takes care of a lot of things, because if you're always listing stuff, it's a given that you've got stuff to list.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have good stuff to list, looking it up, going through the motions, listing it, watching it sit there, watching it sell, watching it get questions. As long as you're putting stuff up there, as long as you're buying stuff and listing it, putting it through the system, you're gonna learn.
Yeah.
Slower or faster, doesn't matter.
Yep.
It's like the example of an art class, and I think I've said this one before years ago on this show. There was an art class, and this guy split it right down the middle, and on one side, this was an art class, they're making pots, vases or pots or coffee cups or whatever, some sort of ceramic, okay? One side of the class, it was split. They came in, the other class wasn't there. They were told, here's your assignment, make as many pots as you can, you will be graded on quantity. And so they made these pots like crazy, okay?
Yeah.
And then towards the end, they were supposed to bring some in to show off. The other side of the class was brought in separately, and they were told, make one pot, that you'll be graded on that one pot. And, the people that made the one pot could have made a whole bunch and thrown them out and then learned a bunch and brought that one in. But because of the way it was presented, their mind clicked that they had to have perfection in one. And so they thought about it for a while, on and on and on and on, and they brought one. Turned out that most of the people that made the pots like crazy learned boatloads more by making mistakes than the people who sat there and thought about it and tried to come up with the perfect pot one time. Because sometimes the first time around, no matter how hard you try, is not going to be good.
It's really an interesting thought. Yeah.
So this applies to listing as well. A lot of people have these fancy listings.
Yep.
And they put all their time into their listings, perfect listing, gotta wait till everything's perfect, perfect pictures, gotta have the musical background, gotta have everything, all my ducks in a row and all that. And then there's other people that just jam stuff up there. It looks like they're texting in their listings because the words are half backwards and you can't even hardly read it. And, the one place has 112 feedback and the other has 70,000.
Yeah. And which one do you think is which?
Well,
it's kind of like the rich dad, poor dad thing, like they start at the beginning of the book with like the stuff. Like one has 2 college degrees, one never went to college. And it's like that kind of thing, except it's counterintuitive in that sense. It's kind of interesting.
So the point is get started and just do it. Now most people that watch the show are either interested in selling online or they are selling online.
Yeah.
That covers everybody, right?
Yeah.
Some people just watch for the
just
jokes.
the trolls, you know, the trolls are always there.
Some
too.
people just watch for the jokes and our good looks.
Well, yeah, I guess.
We do have 14% female viewers, you know.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Of course, one of them was my wife. Hi.
Uh,
And one of them's my daughters. So that's probably our 14% right there. Think that's
Yeah.
14%?
I don't know. I guess
So-
we're getting 3 views.
Anyway, action is key in this business. Now, when I was starting this eBay business, and I've been on eBay since '99, and I've had like flurries of activity for the first 10 years from say 1999 to 2009. I had flurries of activity. Like one time I listed some stuff with the business I was working with, the family business, and we shot a bunch of stuff out there early on, and we bought a bunch of stuff on there, so that was real productive. Then another time I was selling DVDs on there from when they were harder to get, when they were still, you know, kind of premium in the stores and harder to get to sell online, and when the whole transition happened, they went way down in price and everybody was selling them. So that
Yeah, before digital downloads and before piracy and all this modern stuff that everybody does.
right. And so as long as you could navigate how to order from a real vendor and all that kind of stuff, you could do that. And I watched my margins shrink. Pretty soon I was working for nothing, even though I was sending 100 packages a day or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, you know, a couple of more things like that. And then in 2009 or something, I started selling air purifiers, big ticket item. And I was in a position, I put myself in a position where I had to make it or break it.
Yeah.
And the always be listing thing was key. I mean, I had to be listing. I could do 100 other things that seemed less boring or easier. And ever since I drilled that in my mind, though, I've almost done it tirelessly. and I've tried to teach that to you, that's really important. Now,
Yeah.
you do mostly listing, but you also get to play with camera gear,
Yep.
test camera gear, buy camera gear. So you know, again, you like that. You're in your element.
Yeah.
Mostly. I mean, there's other things we do. There's other things you do.
Obviously, certain stuff I like more than others, but for the most part, that's my stuff.
There's still. I mean, this is still work.
Yeah.
Even if
No, it is.
even if you really like what you're listing, it's still work.
Yep. But that's another thing with work, though. If you work at what you like to do, then obviously work is going to be easier and less of a drag. You know, if you do what you love.
So, you know, you can get to a certain point, and this is where we were probably a year ago,
Yep.
where I'd pretty much run myself into the ground listing. We got the business where we wanted to do. I mean, I pushed hard. I pushed you too hard. You pushed hard. We both burnt out.
Yeah, we were doing those 24-hour listathons for a long time there.
Oh, well, that was a while ago, but
Well, yeah, I mean,
but we, you
long
know,
time ago. But I mean, we do those.
I knew what was needed though to get this thing where we are today.
Yep.
And you can make a choice if you want to do that or not. That's not really what this is about. But at a certain point, about a year ago, I started to turn a corner, and I said, "Hey, we got to start." And by we, I was kind of having a conversation with myself, and then Wheeler. I always have conversations with you. Sometimes you don't know my motives or not, but I was trying to come up with ways to work smarter and not harder.
Yep.
You know, bigger picture stuff. And you know, just another example. I mean, I had a packing room that was in complete disarray. You know, here we are packing 500-600 packages a month, and it's a heap.
Yeah.
And so I forced myself to start putting together what I would call a semi-professional packing station, and it's going to make all the difference. And in reality, by doing that, I'm going to be able to start training some of my other kids as they come up to not only stock the packing thing, but then because it's all organized and things have a place to go, and There's rollers for stuff, and this is how we do it here. I can actually teach somebody.
Yeah.
Whereas before, people looked at me whipping, paper and boxes and stuff around. They're like, "How do you do all that?"
Yeah.
And it really, when I thought about it, it was a little embarrassing. So we've turned the corner, and always be listing is still what we have to say to ourselves every single day. But we're also we've reached the point where we've knuckled down so much on that. There is a point after always be listing.
Yep.
And if you watch that movie, it's Glengarry Glen Ross. And I don't think we've watched it, but part of me doesn't want to watch it because the language is so offensive. I mean, Alec Baldwin he's your typical real high strung sales guy that's, he's in it for the money.
Yeah.
And he goes home and sleeps good at night, even though he pushes people too hard to buy and all those kind of things. And he plays it perfectly. And there's some lessons in that movie, and it's got some comedic value, but it's pretty raw too. So anyway, Glengarry Glen Ross came out in 1992, and
Lost the train of thought again.
again, oh my
The
gosh.
trade is off the rails.
Well, watch that movie, and okay. So this is the end thought here. This guy, even though he was a jackass, he was making $960,000 last year. That was one guy asked him why he came down there to talk to him, and Baldwin goes into this thing. I made $960,000 last year. This watch cost more than your car. How much did you make last year?
Yeah.
And that clammed the guy up, and then he went into a tirade with his, always be closing ABC and some other acronyms and all that kind of stuff. But the point is, you can still be ethical and be this guy. I don't have to worry about sales coming in tomorrow. We've got this thing flowing.
Yeah, well, that's another thing that could be said is just the flow of it and how you can, the more you list, the more flow you get going.
Well,
you gain momentum.
There's a momentum factor.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of things that could happen to our business. We've had a few things happen to it that have set us back, computer problems. We had some problems with our office with spiders.
Yeah, had
Down-
Wi-Fi
down
out a
home.
couple times.
Wi-Fi issues. I mean, things will always happen.
Yep.
But I'm confident, because of what we know, we could lose everything in a fire, and although we do have some insurance, which is good,
Yeah.
we could be up and running somewhere else within 30 days.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe 2 days.
Yeah.
And so you can get to that point in this business. And if you're not there yet, if you feel like you're struggling, or if you're still going through these ups and downs all the time, like I watch some channels out there, there's plenty of people that seem to have it, ironed out and going in good. But if you're still having those ups and downs, or, if you're still asking yourself, is this for me? Or can I do it? Or all that kind of stuff, knuckle down, get the signs up, and always be listing.
Yep.
I was thinking we should do a parody.
Yeah.
That might, this is an aside, but that might be our 1 million view parody if we do it right. Because
Yeah.
I think with some rehearsing I can do the Baldwin, and then I can yell at you boys, which would be so fun. I'd probably get the SRS or something in here for child abuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something. Okay, so I was going to talk why we do this. I don't think we have time to talk about that today.
Yeah.
I mean, I was,
We have unlimited weeks. Let's just keep drinking.
Well, it's funny because you said that you were running out of things to talk about.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I could always come up with stuff like, what did I use to shoot pictures with? But it's too technical for most people, is what I feel at least, because they can figure it out on their own. I don't know. I don't have a lot that I can bring to the table
Well, that's
from my side of the stuff, as far as I see it.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. I mean, people do love talking about the cameras
Yeah.
and seeing the cameras, and I mean, I think they understand that we both bring something to the table, and if you are more like Wheeler, more technical, more focused, you can still run your own business, but you're going to have to develop or get some people on your team that have a little bit bigger picture.
Yeah.
a lot of times what will happen, and this happened with my parents, is my dad could build anything. He could figure anything out. He could design anything. He could draw anything. But he needed somebody to kind of help him lay out a plan and then check with him step by step by step.
Yeah.
If he was left to his own devices, he could end up heading this way and then go off on a tangent, and you wouldn't see him again for 3 years. And he'd build this awesome thing, but it would have nothing to do with his initial purpose.
Yep.
My poor dad used to go to, he had a 30-mile commute or so to work, and he would end up like 4 roads off the main path, going to rummage sales and talking to people and seeing, a boat or a car, and he'd end up talking about him. He'd be so late to supper. My mom was just so mad. And so, anyway.
Yeah.
We are not running out of things to talk about. Why do we do this? Now, I think we're finally getting to the point in this business, and it was a long enough road. I've been through a couple startup cycles in businesses, and it took a while to kind of get our business solidified and have enough different product knowledge and enough different products and enough of the tools to get it done, and some momentum and all those things to do that. But I feel we're getting to the point where we can enjoy some of the fruits of our labors.
Yep.
And again, you can crash that. There's plenty of examples of people or companies or sports teams or whatever who get kind of inflated. They get big heads. Hey, we're the greatest. Or they spend too much money. Or, let's say that dealer here starts buying, $500 Schlitz signs every week and starts hanging them up and doesn't buy inventory and won't give up his signs. I mean, you can go off the deep end.
Yep.
But I have been in a successful business before, and I've had a little bit of spending money before, and I've been on the other side of that where we haven't had spending money. And I'll tell you what, being a little bit successful and having a little spending money is a lot better.
Yeah.
And we're there again, thank goodness. Now I got to try to stay humble and not get too excited about that. But I'm hoping we can give back a little bit, because I know many people who are watching out there that are regulars are good at what they do. There's some people that watch us that are better at this than we are.
Yeah. No, definitely.
And there's a lot of people who I would consider equals out there, people that have good businesses, good solid businesses, and I enjoy watching their channels, and I enjoy the comments that come in and all that kind of stuff. And then there's a whole bunch of people that want to do this, or are doing it in a limited capacity, or they have a job and this is part-time, or they have a part-time job, or
This can be extra income for somebody.
Right.
Definitely.
We're mostly, anybody that wants to watch us and get something about this, I am most passionate, because I've been through this myself, I'm most passionate about helping people extract themselves from where they don't want to be and putting themselves where they want to be.
Yep.
When my family business went down in 2000, 2002, 2003, that was unbelievable. It's you don't remember much of that, but there were just a lot of things that went wrong. It was a nice long steady rise, real solid business, things were going good, and then a couple of rugs got pulled out. And so, got real humble after that, and had a few successes and a few failures. And the bottom line is I didn't have a lot to fall back on.
Yeah.
And so it's been a good, solid, long 10 years where I felt this way. Where I felt, hey, we got it going. Now, tomorrow, boy, Crazy Picker Life could be hit by lightning.
Yeah.
I hope not. But, everything happens for a purpose. we're going to try to teach you how to get there if you want to get there.
Yep.
And I guess that's more sort of why I do this, because the struggle that I went through with myself, and even getting you up to speed in a sense that I had to help you grow up a little faster than I think you wanted to, and some of that hurts me.
Well, I can see that in my younger brothers and stuff, and how they really haven't grown up compared to how I was pushed along. But I'm grateful for it, obviously.
Well, you know, it has pros and cons, and part of it was I needed you.
Yeah.
And that's just being candid. I needed somebody to help me in this business, and I didn't want to hire somebody. In fact, I couldn't hire somebody. I couldn't afford them. You worked for nothing for a while. You thought it was just great fun.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, obviously, we can tell people now. How old are you, Wheeler?
16. Yeah, I'm getting out there.
16 going on 17.
17 in 2 months.
Wheeler financially has a lot of rewards now.
Yeah.
And when I was Wheeler's age, I wanted a vehicle, not a car, but a vehicle to get my business thing on, and I just didn't get to hook into one early enough. And so part of it is you got to hook into one, and I know someday you'll be grateful for that. Along the way, though, I had to do some things that like make you stay up late, or just push you a little bit, and it did hurt me a little bit. And that's part of the struggle of getting there. So I had my own struggles, and I had some struggles there. And, you know, if you're growing this business, you might have to ask help of some of your family members. Obviously, you're going to have some sleepless nights. You're going to have some choices between what you want to do. If you're going to always be listing, you're going to have to make some choices.
Yep.
So I'm really rambling.
Yeah.
This is pretty good stuff, though, I think.
Yeah. Well, people would want to know it.
Well, I don't know if they do or not. I'm in a certain different mood. I feel really sick, and so different things come out. I'm not quite as tough-edged as I am. I'm really beat. But, you know, two things that were super struggle when we got this going, and then we'll move on to questions and some comments. I did have to work a job that I wouldn't consider a lifetime job 3 times before I figured out this business.
Yeah.
Before we could do this full time. How long are we on this full time?
Quite a while now, because I don't know, 4 years, I guess? I have no idea.
Yeah, I need to
while.
look. We just paid off your mom's vehicle, and that was a 5-year loan. And so it's at least 4 years.
Yeah.
It's at least 4 years. And when I broke away from the last job, I knew we had a winner. I mean, we put the metal down, we were making enough money in cash flow. It just was crazy. And that's part of what the crazy picker life is. I mean, if you really want to get this thing to full time, you're going to have to get a little crazy.
Yeah.
There are things you're going to have to do to get out of your comfort zone. And some of you...
you have to take a gamble in some cases. Like, you can't always just try to go with the easy route and make it work. It just won't work most of the time. If you need to get something to work, you got to get it to work. So, either make it work or fail at it. So sometimes it comes down to that.
Well, some people think the gamble is different than it is. I mean, you should never put all your eggs in one basket.
No, definitely.
You should never jump off a cliff and then try to figure out what you're going to do from there. You know, gambles should be little to start with.
Yeah.
But do little ones often.
Yeah.
You know, if you're gonna list little things, list a bunch of them. List. Make 50 cents a listing. Who cares? I sold 6,000 DVDs. Printed 6,000 labels, bought 6,000 DVDs. I don't know how many I had. You know, packed them all up, brought them to the post office, put them in one of those auctions things because I was really going great gun ho. I just came a little late to the party.
Yeah.
And the monotony of that taught me a lot.
Yeah.
Taught me that I didn't want to make 50 cents an item.
But I mean, like, if you're going to go for this thing, if you're actually going to try to pull this thing off full time, you can't just, like, try to go at it a little bit half-heartedly and stuff. If you need to go for it, you need to commit. You need to
Right, and
You
that's
can't
part
just-
of that's part of putting that sign up there.
Yeah.
Always be listing. And
Exactly.
so hold yourself to it. One of the things that we do is we've set goals for ourselves every single day that we're working.
Yep.
We've set incentives for ourselves every single day that we're working.
Yep.
We communicate and put our numbers on a board every single day that we're working. We adjust those things and talk about those things, and we hold each other accountable. And now it's mostly second nature.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And where I used to have a bill come in for $500 that I had to pay, and Wheeler over here doesn't understand why I'm over here getting angry because we ain't got shit listed. Sorry about that. Now we don't have that problem anymore.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. Because it wasn't that I was mad at you. I was under so much stress. There was stress. So someday you'll understand more.
Yep.
He understands now, right?
Yeah.
Mostly.
Well, most of it. Yeah.
Most of it. Well, I'm not 100% perfect's not even the word, but I'm not 100% trackable. You'll never understand everything about
Yeah.
dealer. Okay, let's do some questions. One person asked Wheeler, why don't we do more Amazon FBA? Couldn't we travel more if we did Amazon FBA? Do you know what Amazon FBA is?
Yeah, isn't that thing where they ship out your stuff for you, send it to them, and then yeah.
The challenge with Amazon is that Amazon is better for certain things and not as good for certain things.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, Amazon continues to expand what they sell. They continue to change the rules and make, bottom line, it's not as easy to list on Amazon. And for our product type, which is one of a kind, unique items, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we might have 10 of something, or we might have 500 camera lenses,
Yep.
but they're mostly all different.
No, definitely.
And so Amazon is best for new items with a barcode.
Yep.
Retail arbitrage. I mean, there are all kinds of niches on Amazon, all kinds of them, and some of them are unbelievable. I mean, you got people now making products and then becoming a unique product. You got people bringing back retro products and cornering the market, finding these little niches and needs on Amazon. And people are utilizing that thing for all kinds of ways that we don't understand or we just won't ever do.
Yeah.
But for the most part, Amazon is for new seal products.
Yep.
The used stuff, it's a lot harder to get across information on there. I'm not comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
And we started on eBay, and so to have things listed on eBay and Amazon presents its own challenge. Really, we don't have a problem selling things fast enough.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, we have a backstop of inventory of a couple thousand items, but we're waiting for the right price. So it's really not about will we sell it or not, it's just when.
Yeah.
So I do use Amazon. I tend to ship my items. A lot of people do the FBA. They send things in, send clothes in, send CDs in, send all kinds of things in, use things, all books, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Just not into it.
Yep.
You got anything to add?
No, not really.
And my perception is probably a little different than it is. I have looked. There are camera sellers.
No, there are. And actually, I can't add one thing here. Like, I bought a lot of stuff on Amazon for like 150 items or something. I've never bought anything used on Amazon before. So that's just, from my perspective on that, it's just not that kind of place to sell used stuff. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're real comfortable on eBay.
Yep.
Now, if eBay folded or killed us off or whatever, we would find another platform. I'm sure of it.
No, definitely. We'd figure out something else to do. If it wasn't cameras, it would have to be something else.
Well, even cameras on a different platform. We
You could start a website or something. I don't know.
We would figure out a way.
Advertise on YouTube, start a website, whatever. We could figure it out.
We'd figure out a way to do it. Okay, another question. Feedback ratio to sales. Feedback left. I think somebody was trying to figure out maybe how many items we had sold or whatever. Like our Canon guy has how many feedback?
6,000. It's over 6,000. I don't remember how many. 6,300, 6,800.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
I've always thought that it's about 2 to 1. Like, for 2 sales, 1 feedback.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
There's a way to get that data.
Yeah.
I found it once. Total number of sales, there's a way to get that. And then you can look at how many feedback. But 2 items sold, 1 feedback. So about half the people leave feedback.
Yeah.
I don't even really worry about the amount of feedback I get anymore. I worry about the quality of the feedback. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
definitely.
we want positives and not neutrals and not negatives. And if you do look at our feedback, we're pretty good at that. We're about 3 months running where we've been top rated with 20% discount now, which is
All the perks.
phenomenal because that 20% is on both those IDs is at least $300 a month.
Yeah.
$400 a month savings.
Yeah. No,
So that's been nice. Now I'm sure we'll get dinged, and sooner or later you get some of those things. But we've worked most of that out. A lot of times we just do what we have to do to make it right.
Yeah, exactly. Like if somebody has this item that they don't like or anything, we'll refund their money in a lot of cases instead of having to send it back. We're non-hassle.
Well, let's not say that on the old YouTube here too loud,
Yeah.
so everybody orders stuff and then they don't
Okay,
like
okay,
it.
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You want to pull that game with us, I guess, but yeah, that thought clicked my mind. Most people, let me just say this, most people are extremely honest.
Mhm.
We have been scammed, but most people are extremely honest.
Yep.
Okay, asking for feedback. Another question came through from Mr. Sadie, 123. Asking for feedback. Occasionally I'll get emails from people, straight emails, either they've typed it out or it's a canned thing where they ask me for feedback. And
Yeah.
a lot of times I've already left it, which is kind of weird, so they must have it automated. I think the best way that I've seen, and this may be something that we implement because we're starting to implement smarter, not harder. We put an invoice in all of our orders,
Yeah.
but some people will put this,
Personally signed invoice.
we put this thing in there that says we live for good feedback, we want to give good service. If there's anything wrong with your order, please contact us here, here, or here. We take this seriously, this is our business. If you're not satisfied, I mean, they have this sheet in there that addresses right when they open the box that if there's anything wrong, contact us. I always thought that was good. I've never put it in place.
Yep.
Somehow we still do all right without that. But to me, that's not necessarily.
And some companies even, like I've bought from certain companies, and they'll include a return label right in the box, which that again seems a little bit excessive in certain cases. But I mean, like I've seen 5 or 6 companies that do that. So just another.
I think that works best with businesses that don't have a lot of money
Yeah.
tied up in their products.
Yep. Or if new items, I don't know.
Well, I mean, that works with certain strategies.
Yep.
And
So
I've
that's
seen
another
that.
thing I've seen.
Yeah. If you remove the barriers to entry for people to buy from you, obviously they will buy from you more and more often and easier.
Yep.
If they feel that they're taken care of. So, anyway, the sheet in there, I think that's a good way to do it. I would like to implement that. I just haven't done it. Along with that, I've seen some people contact you with an email, either on eBay or through PayPal email, and we do this, saying that if there's anything wrong, contact us.
Yep.
And I do that through the PayPal email. Every time I ship something, I've got a canned email that says, thanks for your business, thanks for your payment, we're putting together your order, it will ship soon, look for tracking information, contact us with anything.
Yep.
And so at that point, people feel like, hey, this guy cares about us, and we do.
Yeah.
So I think there's a couple of ways you can do it without asking for it. And we tend to get pretty good feedback. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know about if that made our ratio any higher. But again, I don't care about ratio. I mean, if you've got 50 feedback, you could be dreaming about the day you have 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a few thousand feedback, it doesn't matter anymore, other than you want to please your customer and you want 100% feedback.
Yep.
Bottom line, right?
Yep.
Accounts. Oh yeah, we gave that out. Okay, OSB listing, Monday packages, new beer sign after the show. Why do we do this? I think that's it.
Yeah.
You want to show some things off?
Show some items here. I don't have a lot this week, but I have a few things here. So one thing I want to talk about briefly were items that we get in that are really nice shape, but they're broken. We encounter this a lot with some of these places we go to where we find like new old stock and stuff that was returned to a shop. We find this kind of stuff. But like this camera here, this is probably like a $500 or $600 camera if it was working, but it does not work at all, and it's pretty much mint condition in the box with everything here. It has the original box, original manual, everything in there, and the reason it's like that is because of that. So I don't know, I just wanted to highlight stuff like that. So you have to be wary sometimes of mint boxed items.
Yeah, we usually have an out for those. Either we can test them ahead of time, or in the camera field there are collectors for broken, good-looking items, or there's people that want one like this that's brand new and they take the guts out of their working one and they jam it in there.
Yep, or they want it as a project where they can clean, lubricate, adjust, or restore one of these things. It's just like a car or something. Somebody will want to buy it and then restore it. I don't know, people do that.
Right.
Then another thing I had here was just kind of interesting display packaging that you come across sometimes too. This is for a certain type of flash bulb, actually kind of a rare one. It's just kind of a neat box how it has the whole display and advertising on it and stuff. This would set on top of probably a store counter or something in stacks, and then it would, you could buy them, but they are kind of a neat.
It's funny with camera advertising, and it's with advertising items in general. There are some camera advertising items that really sell well.
Yeah.
And there are some that just sell terrible.
Yep.
That one, for whatever reason, is not attractive.
We had two of them, and we sold the first one within the first day. This one's really beat up, though.
Oh, I see.
As far as they go, that one had a lot of dust in it and stuff.
So I was trying to think of that. There's Kodak used to have these tall, life-size, scantily clad bikini babes with their cameras. These handouts that they put are these stand-up cardboard figures they put out in front of their store.
Yeah.
To lure people in. Those things sell like hotcakes right now. But then you got another piece of advertising that's more mundane or whatever, and it just, nobody wants it.
Yeah.
So,
well, kind of like those film racks we had a while back, the Ansco or Agfa film racks, and man, those things sat forever, sold for like 20 something each, and they were so cool. I couldn't believe it.
So sometimes you can fall in love though with things that are cool, but not
crazy
in demand.
Yeah, so a crazy looking brass lens here. This is just something we find occasionally, is like the big old brass lenses off the like old 1800s, late 1800s cameras. Thought it was kind of neat. Just as something to show off. And I guess my last item here, we actually got this in recently here, and I thought this, well, we didn't get it recently, we found it recently. We dug it out of the back stock recently.
It was in our back stock.
Yep, I thought this was
Which, by the way, we're doing well on, and maybe next week we'll have a back stock report.
This is a really neat one. You see a lot of these Graflex cameras, we pick them up from time to time, but this one is so small. It's a really, like a miniature Graflex. Is really neat.
Does it have a name for that size of Graflex?
Well, it's the Auto Graflex Junior, so it's the junior size.
So what would have been the market for that compared to, some of the Graflexes are like real big, you have like the hood over your head and you're professional. I mean, what's this? More of a home use one? Or?
Well, yeah, it could be more of a home use, more of a travel size, or like a street photography. Like you want to go on the street and shoot people. You don't want like this big crazy camera or something. The bigger ones are more for landscapes and professional photos, obviously portraits, that kind of stuff.
I think these are rare.
Yeah, no, these are definitely rare. They didn't sell quite as well because they had the option between this at probably 4 or 5 times the cost, so you get a box camera, which did basically the same thing for home users, so then that cut that out of the whole demographic. So then the other demographic was for professionals who need a secondary camera or a travel camera, and that was obviously less.
Now obviously that has some wear and such. We picked it up for probably $100.
70 on here, yeah.
You said 70?
Yep.
What are we have it listed at, and what are we selling at?
I really don't remember what we have it listed at. It's somewhere around 400, but I don't remember exactly.
We bought it at 70. It will sell for over 250, I'm sure.
No, easily.
Yeah, so there's some good money to be made. You got to take some good pictures, clean it up,
Yep.
make sure it's all there, describe what's missing. There's certainly some things that you need to know. Now we've had Graflexes that have sold for over $1,000.
Yeah, we have had a couple, and they're in really nice shape, 20s and stuff, so that's part of it. But
And we've had a few we could hardly give away.
Yep, because, well, the funny thing is, this Graflex we sold for over 1,000 is the exact same Graflex we have listed right now for 170, but just, like, all beat up. It was the mint condition along with the case and all the accessories that made it what it was.
Condition is everything.
Absolutely.
Okay, I got a couple things to show. The real point about me showing off a few of my belt buckles, and by the way, I buy and sell a lot of belt buckles. I've bought a Kawasaki motorcycle. It's like the chain. It's a vintage one. I bought 100 belt buckles for $1 each once, and it's a tank. It's really cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They come in all different styles. Out here in the west, near west, it's a gas pump from 1979. So, real nice condition. It's almost 40 years old. So out here in the near west, the west, this is something that we find.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I bought 100 of them for $100. They're so plentiful around here. I don't find deals like that. But within that lot, there was one, a Bell motorcycle helmet one, that sold like this for $300 or $350.
It's really crazy.
There were two Harley Davidson ones that were $50 or more. There's another one in there for 100 something. I'm not trying to stun you that there's a lot of money in belt buckles. There is. I probably sell 100 or more belt buckles a year. I'm selling a couple a week.
Yeah.
I've got 100 or so in stock. I pick them up all the time as long as I can get them for the right price.
And they're old enough and not the, like, plastic or something,
Well,
there's cool belt buckles and then there's less cool, obviously.
Through listing, always be listing belt buckles, I found out which ones are good and which aren't.
Yep.
And I can right now go through a table of belt buckles like you can go through a table
Well,
of
absolutely.
cameras, and I can pick up the winners.
Another interesting note on the belt buckle side, there's about, as far as I know, probably 30 or 40 different types of camera belt buckles out there too, and we've only found, I think, one of them so far. So that
They all go really well.
Absolutely. No,
Well,
especially, there's some Leica ones I saw that are going for $300 or $400. Some of the dealer belt buckles from the 60s.
Yep.
Stuff like that. Oh, man.
So the point is not to go out there and pick up belt buckles and become a belt buckle expert. You can, but here's the point. When I moved out to the northwest Kansas area here, one of the things I was asking myself when I moved out here, since I didn't have employment and I didn't have anything going, and then I got my first job out here, and I was asking myself every day, what the heck can I do out here?
Yeah.
What is plentiful out here? For example, we have tumbleweeds out here.
Yeah, people sell tumbleweeds on eBay. I've seen those before, but
Tumbleweeds are pretty cool. I mean, they come from this big all the way to the size of a small car, and they roll down the road. They blow in the wind.
And on the highway, there's like some guy on the side of the road like taken out by a tumbleweed.
Well, we had a bunch of them. I mean, when it's 40, 50 mile an hour winds out here, the right time of the year, there can be dozens of them in front of you. In fact, a bunch of them got under a UPS truck and started the UPS truck on fire and burnt it to the ground.
Yeah. No, but that was in the newspaper last year.
Well, yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
So anyway, I was out one day in my Schwann's truck out in the middle of nowhere, going to these towns of 200-300 people, and all of a sudden it was dark, and we had one of these winds, and these tumbleweeds were going by, and I'm like, man, these are crazy. I've never seen these before, and it was like crazy town. But then I found out there are actually a few places out here that keep tumbleweeds, and they sell them to California for westerns. They sell them to prop houses. They sell them to dances, like barn dances.
Well, you know how long it would take and how much work it would be to make an artificial tumbleweed. That's the whole thought thinking behind it.
But this and the belt buckles, I want you to figure out what is in your area that seems plentiful, and you probably don't even see it anymore, that you should be buying by the boatload and reselling nationally and internationally because nobody else has them.
Yeah.
Not everybody in the United States has pockets of belt buckles.
No.
And I ship a lot of them overseas. A lot of the motorcycle ones and a lot of the military ones. and things like that. So in your area, always be thinking what is plentiful. You know, if you live in a town where they make automobiles, well, in my town where I grew up, they made GM automobiles. They also made the seats right there. They also made the radios right there. They also made different parts of the car there. And as that industry crumbled, there were opportunities to buy material, parts.
Absolutely.
When that thing went down, I mean, everything was liquidated. You might have something like that where you're at. Trek bicycles were made 40 miles north of me, and I was always trying to figure out how could I get in with Trek bicycles to buy and sell that. I was always thinking, what is in my area that I could get an edge on. Now, when we go back to Wisconsin, what am I always buying?
Well, it's beer stuff, yeah.
Beer stuff, because there's 200 years of beer brewing all through Wisconsin like crazy, and for the most part, the beer thing in Wisconsin is all macro,
Yeah.
The beer thing has changed, but all the old stuff is still there, and it's coming for sale. So when I go there, I load up on that stuff.
Another thing that obviously we don't deal with a lot and has been pretty picked over in Wisconsin too is Harley Davidson stuff, which is the same kind of thing. They make Harley Davidson motorcycles there, and then you can find all that stuff there.
Well, the employees would get all the T-shirts, they get all the perks, they get all the mugs, they would get all the inside stuff. They all drove Harleys, they all wore Harley stuff, and so my sister actually made a small part-time living off of going to rummage sales and buying that stuff when Harley went through some hard times. And so, our business really is about hard times for somebody. You're buying stuff from somebody or a company that doesn't want their stuff anymore.
Yep.
And so, you got to come up with the plentiful stuff. What is being shed in your community? Okay, that's about it. That's why I wanted to show off some belt buckles. This was episode 4. We will be back next week with episode 5.
Yep.
And we're going to end with a little more music, and you get to see what I see when I walk into my office and it's all dark. And so, anything else, Wheeler?
Oh, that's about it.
See you next week.
Goodbye.